guys, right there is the new wheels for the car. I'm going to show you those in just a second, but what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome week. Today I want to talk about fitting 15-inch wheels on your S550 Mustang, which is 15 to 19. And I've been running 15-inch wheels for a long time. A lot of people just run 17-inch wheels and have really good luck with them, but I've also had really good luck with running 15s. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't run 15s on these S550s is because of the clearance issues. So, Bear Brakes finally made a system that is a 15-inch conversion, which allows you to run a 15-inch wheel, but the problem is with the way the suspension is set up is that you do have to do some grinding, which I'll show you here in just a second, but with how these arms come down and how the knuckle is actually designed, you can only run a 15 by 9.33. Now, that doesn't give you a ton of wheel or a ton of tire actually on the ground, on the surface that you're trying to race on, but I have been 120 60 foots on a non-beadlock wheel, not even spinning the tire on the wheel. I did go to a beadlock, which I'm gonna show you guys the new wheel here in just a second, but I've gone 120s and we haven't even really leaned on the car. So I think with a 15 by 9.33, I still think we can go high teens on it. Now, is it the best setup? No, probably not, but anyone making like 1300 under, you'll be fine with a 15 by 9.33. A lot of people get stuck in the width of the wheel and they think they need like a 10, 10 and a half, 11-inch wheel. Listen, you don't need that wide of a wheel unless you're making like 15, 1600 horsepower and you need every little bit that helps you. So a lot of people don't want to do the brake conversion, and there's another reason why. You lose your e-brake when you do the brake conversion. Now, there's a brake company that I've heard about that is actually making a kit that is capable of keeping the e-brake, but with this Bear brake system, you can actually not keep the e-brake. So if you're a manual car, that kind of kills it for you because, well, you need your e-brake. I mean, you can leave the car in gear, but it's kind of sketchy just leaving it in gear, not having an e-brake. So I don't have an e-brake. This car was in auto 10-speed. It now has a turbo 400 if you're new to the channel or if you're just watching this video, but it was a 10-speed before, so I didn't have any problem losing the e-brake. But you have to do a Bear 15-inch conversion, the SS4, so you can do the 1.0s or the 2.0s. This is actually the 1.0, and then I did some ARP extended studs in here. I have some titanium ones, which are really cool from the tie shop, which I have a discount there if you guys want to go to the tie shop. But I have some titanium ones, which I'm going to switch these out for some titanium ones. But anyways, you've got to do the Bear brake conversion. There is another company, like I said, coming out with a brake conversion, but I can't say who it is yet, but it will be e-brake capable. Anyways, got to do the Bear brake conversion, and then let's see if you guys can see this. You've got to do a little bit of grinding right here on the knuckle. I didn't even have to do much. You can see it's barely taken off. So, if you guys didn't know, I had a Hellcat before this, and to fit 15s on a Hellcat, you have to do a ton of grinding. They make a Willwood 15-inch conversion, which is kind of like the Bear conversion here. Same thing, you've got to do some grinding, some clearancing, and trust me, the Hellcat, I spent probably 5 hours grinding on that because that's how much material you had to take off. Now, there's one other way that you can run 15-inch wheels on an S550 Mustang without any grinding, and you can run up to, I believe, a 15 by 12. I believe. You'll have to double check me, but there's one other way, and it's actually a company called AED. Now, I don't have their part, but it replaces the actual entire knuckle, which pretty much connects all your control arms and everything to the car, but the entire knuckle, which houses the brakes, you know, the axle comes through it, and like I said, it connects all the suspension to the car. They make a billet aluminum knuckle for the car. The problem with that knuckle, besides that it's billet aluminum and it fits a 15 by 12 wheel, the one problem is for a pair of knuckles, it's about $2,500. So you got to do the knuckles plus the brake conversion. That's a really expensive conversion, but if you're really concerned with getting the right width of wheel on there, if you want to run a 15 by 10, a 15 by 12, whatever it is, go ahead and get yourself some AED knuckles. But those are really only the two ways you can do it. So if you want to do just the bare brake conversion, you got to do 15 by 9.33 with, let me double check this box here. I want to say, yeah, 6.5 inch backspace, and you have to do either a medium pad or a high pad. You cannot do a low pad. It will not clear the brake caliper. Before I show you guys the wheels, just remember two things. If you want to do 15s on your S550, I'm not saying you have to. People have gone plenty fast on 17s, but if you want to do 15s, you've got to do the bare brake conversion, some grinding, and be willing to lose your e-brake. The other way is the AED billet knuckles. Two ways you can run 15s. If you want to do the bare brakes, your wheels got to be 15 by 9.33, medium or a high pad, and 6.5 inch backspace. If you want to do a wider wheel, you've got to fork over the cash for some AED knuckles. They're super nice, but they are fairly expensive. Now, I'm going to show you guys the wheels. Huge thanks to my buddy Logan over at Lethal Performance. Make sure you guys go to lethalperformance.com or hit up Logan if you guys want some parts. But these wheels, typically from weld, it takes anywhere from like 6 to 8 weeks. The last set of welds I had, I think I waited almost 10 weeks for. These ones only took like 5 or 6 weeks. The fronts are not in yet. They're another 2 weeks. With everything going on, it's taking them a little bit longer. Also, I have heard that Weld's prices did go up, which is pretty crazy considering their wheels are a little more expensive already. But I did get mine ordered before all that happened. Anyways, so these are a Weld S72 beadlock. I didn't have a beadlock before. Like I said, I went 1.20s, non-beadlock, never had a problem. Same tire I used before, ET Radio Pro 275 6015 small tire. But yeah, these are a single beadlock, 15 by 9.33, medium pad, 6.5 inch backspace, and here they are. So there's a good look at the wheel. I almost did a fully polished wheel, but I didn't want to fully commit to a polished wheel. It's a lot of upkeep. If you guys have seen my recent videos, I polished the turbo and I did a polished exhaust. A lot of work. It's a lot of upkeep, and especially wheels. Even if you ceramic coat them, they're still going to get pretty dirty, and polished wheels are just a lot of upkeep. But I ended up not going with that for now, at least for this set, but I'm really excited how these came out. They look super good. Not a lot of people have the S72s yet. I'm sure a lot of people are going to start having them. I had S77s before, which is a really common wheel, and so is like the S71. So I decided to go something a little bit different, and I needed a single beadlock because I know we're going to throw some more power at it, and we're going to need that beadlock eventually. So I decided to go with a beadlock. I already mounted these ones, but I want to open the fresh box and actually show you guys how to mount these if you want to mount your own wheel. So I don't actually balance these. The rear wheels don't really need balance. The front wheels, obviously, are doing the steering. You really want balance on the front wheels. But since this car mostly sees track, even my Hellcat, actually, when I had beadlocks on it, never had a problem on the street. If they get a flat spot, just do a burnout and they'll be even. So I'm going to show you guys how I mounted these. It's super simple, and then that way you can do it yourself. You don't have to worry about a shop scratching your wheels. If you scratch your wheels, then it's your fault. So we're going to go ahead and open this box up, and we're going to get it mounted. So got your warranty, cleaning instructions, and a sweet little weld sticker. Don't need that. So there is the beadlock ring. Looking nice and fancy. So we'll set that off to the side for now. And then there is the wheel itself. They look so funny when they don't have the beadlock. Now, if you don't order beadlock wheels, you can always send them back to actually get the beadlock added. I'm not sure the cost. I think it's usually like $500 to $600. There used to be a company called Champion but they're no longer in service. But originally, I wanted to send the S77s I had. I don't know why I'm looking over there. They're not there anymore. But originally, I wanted to send my S77s off to get beadlocked from Champion, because you can do custom beadlocks from Champion. But they went out of business. There's a couple other companies that did it, but I just decided to get new wheels this time. So this is what they look like without the beadlock. Set that off to the side for now. And then you've got hubcap in here, or center cap, sorry, not hubcap. And then in here you've got your hardware for the beadlock. One thing to remember is that most of these tires are going to be directional, so remember to double check that before you mount the wheel. So this one I already know is going that way, so this one's got to be actually on the driver's side. So that one will be on the other side going that way. And if you ever question yourself, well, just look at the arrow. Where'd it go? There's the arrow, and roll the tire. So that one's got to be that way. So we're gonna roll this over here, have it next to it. That way we know for sure. And we're gonna set the wheel on this box. Just makes it a little bit easier to mount it. So we'll set that on there. So then what you wanna do, once you've figured out the right direction of the tire, you wanna lube up the inside of the tire that's gonna go on the wheel. It just makes life a lot easier when you have to slide it on. With this being a 9.33 wide wheel, it's super simple to get these on. It's honestly takes like 2 seconds. Like I said, goes on super simple. So just double check at this point, make sure you've got the right rotation going. So this one's gonna be on the passenger side, so it's gonna go that way. We've got it on there. Now you kind of wanna, once you got that on there, make sure it's seated properly here. And then we're gonna set the beadlock ring where we want it. There's really, it doesn't matter, you can just literally do it whichever way you want. On this one, I actually did the USA, so it's on the bottom of the SFI. So if you want them to match, we will do it that way. So we'll put the USA over here, and this is where I messed up earlier, actually. I just kicked myself. Forgot to put the valve stem in. So I'm not gonna cut this out. This is live. I forgot to put the valve stem in first. So now what I gotta do is take the tire off, put the valve stem on, and then do that process over again. Gonna look like a fool, but I'm gonna show you guys live. So this is the valve stem they send. It's super nice. So we'll just have to push the tire back a little bit. With these, you wanna get them pretty nice and firm tight. You just gotta seat that little rubber portion right there. Don't need to go too crazy on them and snap them, but you wanna get that rubber nice and seated so that the tire doesn't leak. So I'm gonna go ahead and push the tire back and get this tightened on there. Just make sure you get the valve stem in before you do this, because if not, you'll be hating your life. Actually, all I had to do is pull the tire back. It's just kinda hard to reach in there. Just thing to note, there is 2 nuts on there. Just make sure you get them both on nice and firmly tight. Don't overdo it, but get them nice and tight. So now we're just gonna pull the tire back to where it was, and we'll be back on our way. Like I said, this is super easy because it's only a 9.33 wheel. Now, if you had something like a 12 or 13 wide, you'd be really hating your life right now. So like I said, then at that point, you want to determine where you want to put the beadlock ring. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get our hardware from Weld and get yourself some anti-seize. You want to make sure you put anti-seize on this stuff because when you need to swap tires, which is going to be pretty often, you want to be able to make sure the beadlock comes off super nice and easy. This next part is the most time-consuming part. You grab 1 bolt, 1 washer, put anti-seize on all of them, and pretty much what you're going to want to do is just hand tighten them all the way around, and then we'll start actually tightening them down and making sure that it's level. But first, this part takes the longest, pulling the bolts out one by one with a washer, putting anti-seize on them, and then putting them in each hole one by one. So get yourself a nice little seat and get to it. guys, so I didn't even start hand tightening them. I literally just put them in like 2 or 3 turns. Now at this point, you really want to do this by hand. I mean, you can use power tools if you want to, but I really recommend you do this all by hand. But anyways, you just want to start at one side, go across, then go across, and just star pattern it from there. That's the best way to do it, because you want to make sure that this ring seats perfectly flat all the way around, or you're going to have some issues. So this part, like I said, this just takes the longest. You just kind of work it from there. So get your little multi-point socket and start going at it. So per weld, they want you to torque the beadlock rings between 18 and 20 foot-pounds. So what I like to do is kind of step it. That way you're still making sure the ring is seating evenly. So take your torque wrench and set it at like 10 foot-pounds or whatever that is in inch-pounds, and work it all the way around in a star pattern, double check it, and then work it up to the 18 to 20 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna do that now. You might have seen me at the end of torquing. I kind of just went and followed the circle. The reason for that is I'd already done the star pattern to make sure everything was seating evenly. And then what I was just doing is just double checking to make sure I didn't miss any. So once I did the star pattern and went across from each other, then what I did is just went one by one just to make sure they were all torqued to spec. So now what you want to do is flip the tire on its side and give it some air. What you can do here is add some lubrication right here on the inside of the wheel and the tire, and that'll make the tire just slide over that much easier when you're trying to seat the bead. Sometimes you just gotta show the wheel a little love and it will go on just fine. Like I said, those were pretty easy to install because they're 15 by 9.33. That little compressor probably wouldn't do the trick if you had a lot wider wheel, but if you kind of like bounce the tire with the wheel, it will eventually kind of move itself around the wheel to seat it. Like I said, it's a lot harder with a lot wider wheel, but you kind of just got to work it. I don't have an air compressor at the house. I really need one, but it would be a lot easier with an actual air compressor. But the wheels are mounted. I'm gonna show you what they look like on the car. Unfortunately, my lug nuts aren't in yet from the tie shop. They should come in like a day or two, so I can't actually like bolt them up, but I'm gonna show you guys what they look like on the car. Guys, so there they are on the car. Like I said, I don't have any lug nuts to show you, but man, they look so good. I'm really happy that I went with that style of wheel. I think it goes really well with the car. I'm really excited to show you guys what the front wheels look like. I think you're gonna like them. They are not the matching set. It's actually a different wheel. So hopefully you guys like them, but hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Hopefully you guys enjoy the update on the Tank Stank. Make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one.